In today's episode of RHINOjoe Outdoors, I'm going to make a new camera mount for the front of my kayak that shoots at my face. One of my favorite angles for talking to you guys whenever I'm out fishing. And as you can see, here's the reason why. Because the one that I have is wobbly, but I'm going to show you guys exactly how I'm going to build it. So stay tuned. So here I have everything laid out, and I'm pointing to my old one here that you saw mounted on the kayak, and I've enjoyed this. Just started recently using it, but on the bottom here it's got the little screw for the 1/4 20, and I put that track bolt on there, but it's just got some play to it, and when you get that thing extended all the way out, it's quite a bit of play in it, and it's just not going to work. So I'm going to continue to use that for like a selfie stick, but I'm going to go ahead and build something new. So I've already had this here. This is a ram ball attachment, and then I had my trackball here, and it just slips right in to that. So that trackball on the top is going to go on the top of the pole, and on the bottom that I'm pointing at is going to be for the GoPro, but unfortunately I don't have that at this point, and I'm going to put a picture of it right here and show you all what it looks like, because Amazon actually sent me the wrong thing, so I'm waiting on that to come in the mail, so I didn't have it when I did this walkthrough of how I'm building this device. So I'm going to use this little thing for the time being. It's old fish finder mount, but I put that GoPro adhesive mount on top of there just in case. I've got my PVC cement. I've got a 1/4 20, and it's 3/4 inch long bolt, and I've already mounted one through the end of this cap, and it's about the perfect length for what I need. So I have my other piece down here that I've not modified at all. I'll show you all how I'm going to do that. I've got this little track mount that is threaded for that 1/4 20 thread. Then I have my other adapter pieces that have one end threaded, and then the other end is smooth to slide over the PVC, and the 2-foot PVC piece. And I'm going to have all this linked down in the description. And finally, to finish it off, I'm going to paint it black with this satin black Krylon Fusion paint. So like I said, I'm going to have everything linked down in the description, or a list of all the parts that I needed for this build. So I went ahead and lined these up, and you can see it's pre-measured here, but I went ahead and accounted for the length of that adapter piece, and marked it right here, and that line is where I'm going to cut it to try to make it the same length as the one I had before. Here I'm using these PVC cutters to cut this. You could just use like a hacksaw or whatever you have to cut this. You don't have to use one of these. Once I got that cut, I'm going to go ahead and start dry fitting some of my pieces on here, just to kind of get an idea to make sure that everything's going to turn out the way that I want as far as the length goes. Like I said, I'd already made this one just to kind of try out which drill bit I needed to use to thread that bolt in there. Put my other adapter piece on the other end, and if you're wondering why I chose to use specifically the ones with the threaded inserts, the reason why is just in case something were to happen to that bolt. Maybe the threads got boogered up on it or something, I could always remove that threaded piece and just replace it if needed. So I'm going to go ahead and drill out my hole here and the other end cap for my bolt for this other piece that I need. Alright, so this next part's extra, and what I'm doing here is I'm creating some little pockets down in the bottom of this. I don't want to drill all the way through, just enough to make like an indentation, and what that's for is I originally had planned on putting in some JB weld with the bolts so that they would hold the head of these bolts in place, but I realized that the fit was tight enough that I really didn't need it. Now in the future, if I feel like those bolts start slipping, I can always go back and put some JB weld down in there to make sure it doesn't slip around, and those little holes will help make sure that it doesn't just spin around in the end of that end cap. So then, using an attachment on my drill, I drill that bolt into the end of that end cap piece and tightly secure it down all the way snug down to the bottom of it. So then I just dry fit it into the piece here, and what I want to make sure is that I don't mar those threads or anything. I will end up having to use a set of vice grips and pliers to really tighten that down the way that I need to. So the next part here is where I want to take this PVC cement, and I'm going to go ahead and do a full coat all the way around this PVC and go ahead and put on these slip-on end cap adapters for the threaded adapter. And when I put it on there, I'm going to make sure that I push it all the way down, make sure I get it all the way seated, and then I'm twisting it just a little bit just to make sure that I've got it all the way down in there. And the part that you don't see here is where I use a paper towel to remove any of the excess glue that spews out as you're sliding this on. Then I'm going to take my pliers here and my wrench, and I'm going to tighten these threaded end pieces in, basically as tight as I can get them within reason. They don't have to seat all the way down in there, but I just want to make sure they're plenty tight on there so that it's not going to wobble or easily come out. So then I'm going to prepare this for paint, and I'm going to use this rubbing alcohol just to clean off this pipe and make sure that I have everything clean. So I've got my paper towel here, kind of double it over, and then I'm going to generously coat it with some of this rubbing alcohol, and just trying to remove any oils or anything that's going to cause that paint not to stick and adhere to this. Hopefully give it some good durability once I put the paint on it. Here I'm going to go ahead and screw that track ball down onto that 1/4-20 bolt that's mounted in that end cap, and just get everything test fitted here. Make sure everything works properly. Yep, moves back and forth good. And then on the other side, after I knock my paint can over, I'm going to go ahead and put that track nut on the other end. Just make sure everything looks right. And I actually went out and test fitted it on the Kayak to make sure everything tightened down okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and get ready to paint this sucker, make it look good. So I'm going to use this frog tape here, painter's tape, whatever you want to use. And I'm going to cover up the track ball that I went ahead and screwed in on one end of this piece. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove that track nut that I used, and I'm just going to cover up those threads of that 1/4-20 bolt with some of this tape so they don't get sticky and difficult to use. So now we're ready for paint. So one key part, especially if it's cold outside, you can use some hot water in the sink and heat up your spray paint to make sure that it's going to come out evenly and in a good spray pattern. So I went ahead and heated mine up, and then I got some junk mail. Everybody has junk mail sitting around, so I got some junk mail out and used it to lay down an area so I'd have an area to paint this, and then began to generously coat on all sides of this with this Krylon Fusion black spray paint. So we're going to go ahead, and once we got everything painted here, we're going to reattach my arm on here and just kind of loosely screw it down. Like I said, I still need that GoPro ball attachment. Then I've got my track nut. We'll put it back on those fresh threads down there that I protected from the paint by using the tape to make sure it was easy to go on there. Then I took it outside, put it on the track mount on the Kayak, and slid it in there. You screw it clockwise to tighten it down. Overall, this is a much more stable platform for my camera. I feel like it's going to take a lot of the wobble out of my videos and be overall better quality to take you guys along with me on my fishing adventures. And as always, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you guys watching. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss my future content. And if you get a chance, get outside, do something awesome. Take somebody with you if you get a chance. And I will see you guys in the next video. If you guys are looking for another DIY project, check out this video here on the end card where I make a DIY extended handle for my floating net.